but I need you to understand where I'm coming from. And usually most people will sit back and get a bit more comfortable, because I oftentimes, when we start talking about God, I remember one patient in particular, Rolly, he rolled his eyes. As soon as he said God, he just rolled his eyes and he crossed his arms. And I know when I went in to see him in the one-on-one to present his case, him and his wife were sitting there, and the first thing she said was, well, why did you guys have to bring up God? But when I explained it to them as to why we do it, because it's just who I am and it's part of what I do, they were comfortable with that. And actually, she ended up becoming a patient and is very comfortable with the fact that they understand that we're not going to baptize them, we don't necessarily convert them, but it's a seed. And that seed is very, very important, because another interesting story is that another gentleman he was offended by the fact that we talked about God. And about a year or two after his initial consultation, he had been under my care for 3 or 4 months, and then we lost track of where he was. And it turns out he comes back in, he says, Dr. Yuri, I want to tell you, I just got baptized last week. And I said, well, how did that happen? He says, well, after I left you, one of my friends took me to an alpha course, and then I got a little bit more intrigued, and then I ended up going to this Bible-believing church, and I got discipled some more, and then I made a decision for Christ. And he goes, you know what? It was your whiteboard, your little messages, a little bit of scripture on your whiteboard that started making me think. Oh, it offended me to start with. It started making me think about, maybe God does exist. Maybe I do need a relationship with Him. So that was pretty amazing. I would say the core value, or one of the core values of Hunt Club, is the fact that we don't turn people away for financial reasons. And so, the way that plays out is that obviously chiropractic care isn't covered by OHIP, and it's not covered by a lot of extended healthcare insurance. And if we want to transform somebody's life, and they need to spend 12 months with us, for some people that can be prohibitive. And so what we tell people is, we have a fee structure that works really well, and it works for probably 80% of our patients. But if somebody can't afford it, we will accommodate them to make sure that they can be here. And the value there, the core value there is that we will not compromise what the patient needs. So it's not like we decrease the number of visits or try to get them through. We give them our full program, but they tell us what they can afford to pay. And so it is transforming for everybody involved, because you know what? That means that every single person that comes in here, if they want the care, we can help them. The only people that we can't help are the people that don't want to be here, and we're okay with that too. Warrior coaching the springboard for warrior coaching was our practice. And when we were adjusting 2,000 people a week, chiropractors would come and ask what we were doing. And so we started counseling or coaching or mentoring doctors one-on-one, and quickly realized that was taking up way too much time. So we started warrior coaching in, I think it was 2001, and started with 20 clients. And now we mentor about 110 clients right across the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast and down into the States as well. And basically what it is these doctors commit to being mentored for 12 months. And it's a 12-month program. We get together 6 times a year. And 2 of the transformational camps that we do are 2.5-day camps, where we just try, everybody's got issues. When we look at why people are successful or aren't successful, even if you have you have a calling on your life, that God's taken you in a certain direction, He's showing you the vision of where you want to go. What holds people back is physically, what holds people back is pain. Mentally, emotionally, so the soul, what holds people back is fear, typically fear of man, fear of, if I change my practice, what are people going to think? Are people going to leave? And from a spiritual perspective, it's unbelief, and it's not having enough faith. And so what we do is we break the guys down. Our seminars start on one of our camps on a Thursday night at 9 o'clock. They'll go to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. We give them a little sleep, get them up around 4 in the morning. We'll do some worship time, and then we'll run. We don't tell them how long we're going to run, but we run, so we break down their body. And then we get together, we'll break down the run, what happened. Oftentimes just a run is transformational, because it's the first time that they've actually stepped into running through pain, and dealing with pain. And then we just deal with all the wounds and stuff that we've all gone through that don't allow us to go to the level we need to go to. And by the end of a weekend where I've got you on a Thursday night, all day Friday, all day Saturday with little no sleep, a lot of physical activity, and a lot of emotional stuff going on, people are ready to make a huge difference. And really what we're trying to do is get them to create a new identity that they have in Christ. And so before, one of the things that happens is in all business and in all practices is the practice becomes a priority. And in warrior coaching, we try to flip that and say, you know what, God's got to be number one. If you're serving hundreds of people a day, but it's just all about you and income and buying nice things for yourself, eventually you'll stop doing that because there's not enough motivation. It doesn't fill that void within each and every one of us. And so the next level of motivation is, okay, I'm going to do it for my patients. I'm going to work like crazy. I'm going to see lots of people. I'm going to help all kinds of people. And again, what happens is that there's not enough love in any one of us, in ourselves to serve that many people. It's very, very difficult. And eventually what we teach the warriors to do is that, if you're serving God, there's enough love to serve the people that God provides for you. So then it's God, then family, and then the practice. And when you have that, then you have some balance. So obviously you're serving God, so we teach principles of meeting God in the morning. So a very big principle of warrior is the discipline of getting up early at 4 o'clock in the morning, spending time in the Word, and then exercising in the morning. And before the rest of the family or the rest of the world is even awake, we've done our God time, our physical activity time, and we're getting ready to go for the day. And then family is a second priority, because what's the point of having a successful practice if you don't know your kids and your wife or your husband is leaving you? And obviously that's not as successful. It's not biblical. It's not what God would have called you to do. And so if you have God and then family as a foundation, then you'll be able to achieve a lot more in your practice as well, and you'll be able to serve all the people that God sends you. So that's kind of some of the foundational stuff. And then the other things that we do, of course, is teach the systems and the process and the procedure that we use in our practice so that the doctors can learn how to communicate the principle of wellness of above, down, inside out. They can use the systems that we do so that they can be successful in transforming the way a patient thinks, and then take him through a whole corrective process over a 12-month period. And so it's really a mentoring program for their life and for their practice as well. I mean, live the life that you're called to live. And I really believe that God's called us to this, right? And all these chiropractors, when they come to warrior coaching, they're not necessarily Christian, right? But we attract doctors that are Christian who want to integrate their faith into their practice, and they don't know how to do it. And so they're living two separate lives. They're living their Christian walk on Sunday, and then they go and do their secular work during the week. And when they figure out that they can join the two and there is no difference, it's transformational for them. And then the other group of doctors that we serve are the ones that are just seeking. They know there's something else. They know there's something missing. They could be successful in practice, or they could be failing miserably in practice, but they know there's something missing. And of course, that something missing is God and Christ. And they don't know that yet, but through the teachings that we give them, they come to that understanding on their own. It's interesting that we don't necessarily have the same message that the church would of salvation, but we teach them to read their Bible. We teach them, obviously we have guiding principles, business principles that are biblical, and we teach them to tithe and to expect abundance, to be generous at all times, and they start to see, wow, these God principles really work. How can I find out more? And then we hook them up with the local church, and then that's how their lives get transformed. So fascinating stuff.